Hello, my loves, and welcome to the Fuck Trauma podcast with me, Candice Tamara. I am so happy to have you here. This is kind of like a little bit of an impromptu episode that came to mind because recently I got engaged. Some of you might have seen on the emails and on Instagram, and it sparked my anxiety, which I'm gonna speak to you more about today. But more importantly, it made me realize all the times that your anxiety can actually sabotage the things that you actually want. And it reminded me of 3 times that has happened, even in my secure relationship. It can still be triggered at times. And I want to walk you through the times that happened to me and how I dealt with it, and also how it's happening to you, because I know that it's happening to you. Because even though I'm using this example of like one relationship, I can see over and over and over again how this has been a pattern for me. And in other relationships, I completely sabotage them. My anxiety sabotaged them. Wasn't able to control it the way that I am able to control it now. So it made me just like think about this episode and how important it would be to like share those stories with you and share those lessons that I've learned, so that you can use them with your own relationships. And one thing I think, as I was about to hit record in this episode, it made me think, often we think anxiety comes up, and actually it's telling us that something's wrong. But a mistake people make, and that I see it in my comments of my content, is a secure person would have sparked your anxiety. And that is just not true. Even something that is a safe relationship, if you had to always work hard for relationships to prove your worth, and if you've not had a safe, healthy relationship, or actually something where somebody is treating you very well and is very certain of you and is very secure and all of those things, even though you may think you want them, which you do, your nervous system, which is your anxiety, will still be triggered, even when it's something so good. And you've probably realized this, you might have met somebody and they're just so certain to you, they're so into you, and you're like, oh, there's no spark. There's no spark because you don't have to work hard for it, and you're used to working hard for it. You're used to proving your worth. So then when somebody comes along and they are like so certain of you, they're showing up really consistently, even though you think you want it, because it is so different to you, there will be a part of you that's like, this is too good to be true. I'm not worthy of it. And at that point, you will start to sabotage it. And even though I'm referring more to like healthier relationships in this actually happens with anxious attachment style at any different parts within our relationships, which is what I'm going to share. So I'm going to dive into story times now and the lessons that are there, and also what to do to change it so that you don't sabotage your relationships. But before I do, I just want to ask, I would just really appreciate it if you are enjoying the podcast, please just rate the podcast on whatever platform you're listening to right now, because it really helps other people to find the podcast and experience the things that you've experienced by listening to it. So I'm going to talk you through a little timeline of my relationship and the different times anxiety tried to take me down. The first one being, I shared about this in a few episodes ago, how I was very intentional with manifesting my partner, Todd. And then he came along and he was right there in front of me. And when he came in, I knew straight away, this is the person. Like, it was just so natural, and it just made complete sense. Everything was so effortless. And he was just everything that I was manifesting. Like, he was it. And so it was obvious to me this was it. And everything ticked, he treated me wonderful. He was so intentional with me. He was so certain, he was so committed to me, and knowing that I was the woman of his dreams, which is what I was manifesting. And that he wanted me, he was choosing me. And remember, I was so chosen because I changed my beliefs, my subconscious beliefs, to being the person that's also chosen. So he was reflecting back everything that I was intentional about. But because I'd never really experienced that before, I'd always had relationships where I was the one that tried harder. I was the one that kind of was like wanting the more commitment or wanting them to choose me, and I never felt like a priority. And also, I was always proving my worth. Whereas this one, I wasn't proving my worth. With Todd, I was just 100% like so relaxed, so just myself. I wasn't over functioning, I wasn't overworking, I wasn't over available. In fact, I was so grounded in myself because I felt so secure in myself and my self-concept at that point and what I'd manifested. I just was really good. I was in a really good place. But it triggered my anxiety because it was the feeling of like, I remember saying to my friend, like, oh my God, like this is really scary. Like, why is he so certain of me? Like, like it was a feeling of like, what if I get everything that I've actually been asking for? What if this is really it? And really, I knew that it was this. I knew that this was it. I knew that this was going to be exactly what it was supposed to be because I'd manifested it. But when it comes in, if we're not able to manage that anxiety, that is at the point that we subconsciously start to push it away. Because if I would have fed into that belief of, oh no, maybe I'm not ready for this, because that's what my fear was trying to tell me. Maybe I'm not ready for this, Candice. Maybe I should push it away. But that is your anxiety speaking. That is your anxious attachment style. And that is your past trauma trying to speaking to your nervous system, trying to keep you safe. So that is about the time when it starts to push away the exact thing that you want. And if you do not know how to regulate yourself and you do not know how to change that story, that is subconsciously what you will do. You will push away the good relationship that you actually want, the healthy relationship, the family, the engagement, the whatever it is that you long for. If you're not prepared for it and it comes in, if you don't know how to maintain it, that is the point where you will manifest a breakup. You will manifest sabotaging it, pushing it away. And you'll be listening to that story in your mind, which is just coming from fear, trying to keep you safe. Now, luckily, at this point, I was able to be like, this is old me. This is old me that doesn't believe she's chosen, that thinks that relationships are toxic because that's what she's experienced, that thinks that love is not safe and love leaves her and she's not worthy of love, right? And or family or whatever it is. And so I was like, that is old me speaking right now. And at that point, you have a um what is it? A fork in the road. Sorry, I was trying to think of the words. I would literally use this word yesterday. So I was like, what is it? You have a fork in the road, right? When you are deciding that you are ready to call something else into your life, the old identity, the old version of you, your old anxious self that was not able to receive it has to go. So right then I had a fork in the road. It was my dream person, my dream relationship standing right in front of me. Am I going to listen to old me that's saying, oh, no, 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 you're not ready for this, push it away, listen to the anxiety, listen to the fear, what if he's not perfect, whatever it was, right? Whatever it was going to try and tell you, because that's what it will do. And I know you've experienced this in whatever story it is for you. Or, Candice, are you going to continue to decide that you are the person that's in this dream relationship, that's happily married, whatever it is, and that you are worthy and deserving and chosen of this? And are you going to decide to be that person? And so I had to persist in that story. I had to decide, no, 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 this is who I am. This is who I decide I am. And this is just old me. And I had to regulate my nervous system. I like the tools I teach in my masterclass, in my programs, I don't teach them just for the fun of it. I will never give you anything that I do not swear by, that has literally changed my life and my relationships and have been able to stop me from being incredibly anxious attachment style, sabotaging everything, to be able to call in and maintain everything and be the person that you see today. I only give you what works, full stop. I cannot give you anything else. So I really did that. So as soon as I saw that, I was like, okay, Candice, this is your old self. Go and regulate yourself and change the story. So regulation to me is usually EFT tapping. I will do my EFT tapping with my secure method, and I will do it for a few days or however long I need to change that story in my mind and regulate my nervous system and change the story of what's happening. This is old me. Persist, persist. This is who I am. And within a few days, it was gone. That anxiety completely goes. And what's happening there is you're stabilizing into the new identity of somebody that doesn't chase, that is chosen, that is worthy of love, that doesn't have to work hard for love. Because that was the thing. It wasn't that he was so certain of me. It was like that I didn't have to work hard for this person. Hold on 1 second. I'm not having to fix them. I'm not having to please them. I'm not having to chase them. I'm not having to do anything. This person just chooses me without me trying. And that is real love. That's the love that you want. That's the secure relationship where you see your own worth. And that was the truth, is that I had started to see my own worth and value without doing any of those things, and was so grounded in me that he was just seeing that too. He was reflecting that back. But because it was something different to what I'd had before, it was still going to spark that old version of you, that anxiety, that fear in you. And that's what it did to me. But you can overcome that. And it is in your best interest that you do, because things start to get better. The more you push through and you choose from your new identity, choose from your secure self, the better, like the fact that these things just go. And another thing I'll tell you is that when he told me he loved me first, right? And it sparked my anxiety again. Even though I felt like I loved him too, it was just so different, because I realized in all my other relationships, I was always the one to say, I love you first. And I can see that was, in a lot of ways, it was me trying to gain reassurance. It was my anxious attachment style speaking. It's not that I didn't think it was real, but I feel like the urgency to do it probably wasn't coming from security, really, if I look back at it now. And so when he told me he loved me, even though of course I felt it and wanted to say it too, it sparked my anxiety because I was the one used to doing it. So here I am with this person just so openly expressing their feelings for me. And even though that's exactly what I manifested, that is exactly what I asked for. It's like when you experience it, your old self can try and sabotage it. So perhaps you've experienced it. Like, this is obviously my story, but I know by sharing this is probably tweaking some things in your mind that are making you think, oh yeah, that's what happened to me. The second time it happened was when we moved in together. So I was hyper independent. I'd been hyper independent for a good few years. I had built a paradise of peace, just me, myself, and I, and my beautiful, beloved cat, Blue. And so this person comes along, and suddenly I'm sharing my space with them. And that's something I hadn't done for a really long time. And it sparked my anxiety. And what that looked like is I was scanning my anxiety, my nervous system was scanning for things, you know? And the ironic thing of it is that he's even tidier than me. And so he was a pleasure to live with. He was so easy to live with. He is so added value to my life, and I love living with him. But my nervous system was like, no, 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 it's not safe. Get rid of it. We're under threat. We're under attack, right? And I knew I'd share this story one day because it made me realize all the other times I've been in other relationships and I was nitpicking and causing arguments over really small things. And what I realize now is really it was just my anxiety, because I'd felt unsafe, but it wasn't them that were making me feel unsafe. And it's not my partner making me feel unsafe, because logically it made no sense. Like, this person added so much value. They did more than I did. But it was like my nervous system was like looking for any clues. They've left a cup. They didn't wash up their cup. So get rid of them, get rid of them. And it's not real. It's just your nervous system is feeling a threat of like, oh my God, your peace, your fortress that you've created for yourself where nobody can impact you. Now you're having to share that with someone and compromise to an extent, which you haven't had to do. And, you know, it will go back to like growing up for me. Anytime I shared homes with people growing up, you know, even my family, they were really toxic environments. They weren't healthy environments to be in. I wasn't safe in those environments. So your mind, your nervous system will remember that. And it might not be exactly that for you, but it might be another version of it. Maybe you were in a relationship before and you self-abandoned a lot. Or as a child, you had to people please a lot in your home and you weren't fully safe. You weren't fully able to be yourself. So it will spark your anxiety. It will spark your anxious attachment style. And in that moment, it will feel like they're the problem, but they're not the problem. I promise you. What it is that you have to regulate your nervous system to feel safe and keep telling you. I had to be like, little girl inside of me. That's why I swear by inner child healing as well. You are safe. You are fine. This is not the same as your past. You are healthy. This is healthy. This is good. You deserve family. You deserve a partner that supports you, because he does support me in all the ways. He is good. He is healthy. It's not the past. But your nervous system doesn't know that. It just thinks, oh my God, this is what's going to happen again. So it tries to protect you by creating arguments, picking arguments. And I can see in the past, when I didn't know about nervous system regulation or how this was happening, I totally picked arguments. I totally sabotage relationships because they only got worse because I was nitpicking all the time and I was focusing heavily on all the things they weren't doing. And because I was so focused on it and I was so anxious, I wasn't able to see all the wonderful things they were doing. And I know that you probably experience this too, is because your lens has just gone down to there's a threat, there's a danger, just focus on this danger. Even though the danger is not real, it's not real. And if you are able to scan out, you will see, actually, this is not a danger. This is not a threat. This is just coming from the past you. And you can change that, and you should, because otherwise, I had to be really real with myself. I had to be like, Candice, I know that this feels uncomfortable right now, but do you want to live alone for the rest of your life? Like, no, you don't want to do that. So you have to go through this discomfort. And I made that decision. And it's not that you have to go through it and just live with it. You have to change it, change the story within yourself, change and regulate your nervous system to be like, it's safe. Like, this is my space and it's safe. They are a safe person. And I am safe in this way, like to regulate it, EFT, inner child healing. I had to work with my inner child, changing my beliefs, changing the story around it, reminding yourself of all the amazing things that are happening, that this cup on the side is not worthy of this, but it's just your nervous system. And the other thing is, then put boundaries. Always make sure that you are not self-abandoning. And this is something I talk about obviously all the time as an attention style, because when our nervous system starts to feel that fear, that fright, we automatically go into our self-abandonment to keep ourselves safe, because that's what we've learned as children, right? So at that point, that's the point where you probably start to walk on eggshells, start to people please, and start to like feel quite uncomfortable in your home. And because you're self-abandoning, that anxiety is actually only going to keep going up. It's only going to get worse. And it's not coming from them. It's coming from you, because you're not being your own safety, and you're not being that little girl, that little guy's safety within you. You're not keeping them safe. And as a child, you can do that. That was not your job. But right now, it is your job to keep that little girl and that little guy, that inner child inside of you safe, and to regulate your nervous system so that you don't carry this forward. I had to be really honest with myself, because I could feel that anxiety was making the inner child in me want to just, cope with it the way that I normally would have coped with it as a child. And so I had to be like, no, that's not who I am now. I am a secure adult. This is how we're going to deal with it. So I'm going to take my space still, because imagine I'm hyper independent. I've gone from spending all my time by myself, just with me and my cat or whatever at home, to then suddenly I'm spending all my time with my partner. Not all the time, of course, but you spend a lot of time. So of course that change is gonna trigger you. It's a big difference. So in that time, you have to be clear with what your needs are and what your boundaries are. And if you don't know them, you have to start to ask yourself, what do I need? What will make me feel safe in these moments? And it is not getting them to regulate you, because that will not work. Doing that, needing them to be your reassurance and your validation, is self-abandonment, and it will cause you to be more anxious and then more resentful from it too. You have to think about who you are. Like, what was you doing before them? So I had to keep to my own rhythm, making sure that I have time by myself still, to just decompress, to not be someone's girlfriend, to not be someone's friend, to not be someone's anything. I just needed time to just be Candice, where I was alone with my own thoughts, my own being, where I could just relax, you know. That's very important to me. And so I had to make sure I was allowing myself to have the time to do that. And that is totally fine. That is your needs, because when you come back to them, you are a much better partner because of that. And when you don't have those things, when you don't look after your needs, you start to become resentful. You start to be on edge. Your anxiety and your fear starts to take over, and arguments start to happen. So it's all within reason. So even though I'm talking about moving in, I'm sure you can relate to a lot of these things, and it will all come down to not self-abandon. Asking yourself, what do I need in these moments? It's your responsibility to create that safety for yourself. So put it in those boundaries. And I know that it can be really hard when you haven't grown up with any boundaries. I didn't grow up with any boundary. I had no idea what a boundary was. Then you're in that same place where you're feeling triggered from the past. It's not from now, but that is your fork in the road, where you can be the old version of you, that old, you know, scared little girl and little guy inside of you, and, you know, fawn, people please, walk on eggshells, you know, whatever it is that you used to do. Or you could decide at that point and be like, no, that's not who I am. I am in a healthy relationship. I am secure. And as a secure, healthy person, it's okay for me to say no here. It's okay for me to take time here. It's okay for me to have these boundaries. It's okay for me to change the story and not allow my fear or my past to ruin this for me, sabotage this for me. It's okay for me to regulate my nervous system and feel good and do whatever you need to do with that. So that is really important. When you experience this feeling, you have to be really honest with what is really going on, because I guarantee it's nothing to do with the situation that you see in front of you. At the time, my anxiety tried to sabotage my secure, wonderful relationship was when we got engaged, when he proposed. And what you will notice about all of these is that they're core milestones in relationships that can trigger it. So being secure doesn't mean that you're never going to be triggered ever again. It just means you don't allow your fear of abandonment, your triggers, to override you, to take control, that inner child inside of you to run the show anymore. That's the difference. So it's not like these are new levels. These are new levels, new devils, new commitment, right? So, of course, sometimes those triggers are going to happen, and that's totally fine. You just know exactly what to do with it. And that's what I'm sharing today. When you know exactly what to do, these are not big things that sabotage your relationship, but it's when you don't know what to do with it that it does sabotage your relationship, and did me for years. So, when we got engaged, so this is not a surprise to me. I was intentionally manifesting a husband. So the affirmation I used all the time to manifest my partner, although I did a lot of different things that I talk about too. But essentially I was like, I am happily married to my dream man. That was what I decided, right? So it's no surprise that he proposed. And actually marriage was always spoken about from the very beginning. He comes from a family that, you know, their parents have been together 55 years. He was always, I remember we would always watch like Love is Blind together, and like shows like that. Sometimes I love those shows. And so we'd always talk about these things, which I always recommend to anyone to talk about, to watch these things with your partner, because you get to speak about relationship issues and kind of see their perspective on it, but without making it about you guys, where it can potentially turn into an argument. You get to have like really good conversations about other people and kind of give your perspectives, you know, shift perspectives sometimes, but without it triggering you guys. So it's always a good idea. So we always watch that. And I remember asking him at one point something about proposing or marriage or something like that. And I couldn't believe, he turned around to me and was like, yeah, it's something that I've thought about for a very long time. He gave this whole thing. I actually can't remember it. I just remember the moment, because I was dumbfounded. I had never heard a man talk about marriage or weddings the way that this man was talking about it. Like, so sure and committed. And I remember asking him when we were dating, a few dates in, and I said, do you want marriage? And he looked me dead in the eye, was like, yes, I do. And for me, I was so used to people that weren't quite ready for it, people that I had to work really hard for them to be ready. And the truth is that I wasn't ready for any of it. There was lots of times in my past where I can see that I was wanting commitment from people where actually I had a real fear of commitment still. And it wasn't until I did that work to remove the fear of commitment that I had, um, for me to be able to then be like, I am ready for marriage again. Because I know as anxious attachment style, we think that we do not have a fear of commitment because we're the ones chasing and really wanting it. And it's like they're running away from us, they're avoiding us. But that is absolutely not true. If you're experiencing avoidance and emotional unavailability, it's because it's being mirrored within you. And what I can see now is that I was always afraid of what that commitment would mean because, of past relationships that I've had and not seeing good examples of love. Like, no one in my family is married. I have not seen good examples of healthy marriages or healthy relationships even, or even healthy love. So he was very different to me. He was like, yep, I've seen this good marriage and that's what I want and I'm ready for that now. And it was no surprise to me that I manifested somebody like that because I had manifested, I am ready for marriage, which I was not ready before. And for anyone that doesn't know, I was married when I was younger. So I got married when I was like 24. So it was a long time ago now. And that was a really toxic relationship. So my nervous system only knows marriage to be really toxic and was a really bad time. I self-abandoned very badly. I was very anxious, very, it came with a lot of pain and hurt. And obviously I haven't seen healthy relationships growing up or in my family necessarily, or marriage. And so that's the only data my nervous system and my beliefs, my subconscious beliefs has. So even though I was manifesting marriage, a healthy marriage, of course, happily married was my words, because I had never experienced that before. Remember, your nervous system only goes by that data. It's trying to keep you safe, but that's where it sabotages you. So even though we had spoken about marriage, we everything has always been very intentional. I had no idea he was going to do it the day that he did it. I had no idea he was going to do it anytime soon, to be honest. We had stopped talking about it. I had stopped manifesting it. I had stopped being in the state of like, this is what I want. And I see that now. And so the day that it happened, we were going out for his birthday, which was incredible. That it was clever because I never saw it coming, because I just thought we were out for his birthday. And so I was completely relaxed, didn't expect anything at all. And it happened. And even though it was beautiful and it was lovely and it was so well thought out, he'd had the ring for like months and months, and he'd had it planned out that he always wanted to do it on his birthday. And I said to him, why did you do it on your birthday? And his birthday is the 12th of September. My birthday is the 12th of December. So he wanted to keep the 12 thing. And he said, like, I wanted to give you my special day. I wanted to give that to you, which was a really beautiful thing. And so he made a joke that we'll get married on my birthday. And I was like, absolutely not. My birthday is December the 12th. I already share my birthday with practically Christmas. I am not having anniversary, Christmas, and birthday presents on my day. I was like, we're picking up at 12. And so, yeah, but because I didn't see it coming, and because what I didn't realize, I had stepped out of the state of I'm happily married, my nervous system went into a bit of shock. I obviously loved it, but I was also really like, my fearful mind was trying to, give me the stories again of like, oh, remember what happened last time? Or like, like all of these things, my nervous system kind of went into a shock. And so instead of sabotaging it, because I knew that this was happening and I didn't, of course, want to, because this is what I wanted, I'd manifested it, but it was just my old self. So what did I do? I obviously didn't react to that, and I didn't show him that because I would never want to do that. And I'm obviously being very open and honest by sharing this with you guys, because I want you to know that it's not all rosy, but it is totally possible to do the work to change it. So I think I went into the bathroom when on the night that it happened, and I like it was like I was in shock. It was that same voice of like, "Am I really ready for this? This is everything you wanted, Candice. Are you sure? Are you sure? Is it not going to be like last time? Even though this relationship is so healthy and so different, and I'm a completely different person. It's like that fork in the road of, are you going to be old you and sabotage this and go down the old road and live by the old patterns and the imprint of the old relationship and the old beliefs and everything? Or are you going to decide, no, 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 this is who I am. Like I said, I was a wife. I said, I'm ready to be a wife. I said, I'm ready to be happily married. So is this what you're going to choose and go forward with? And so obviously I was like, yes, I know that this is just fear. This is my old self. It has no place here. I'm safe. It's fine. Like little me, little Candy, calm down. We're safe. And this is great. This is obviously what I wanted. And, I did my EFT tapping probably for a few days afterwards. And then as soon as my nervous system calmed down, I was able to enjoy it and be like, oh, of course, this is wonderful. This was normal. This is exactly what I wanted. But just full transparency that unfortunately, when you have, past imprints of trauma and past experiences and beliefs in your nervous system, that feeling in your body, it is going to come up sometimes. And that's okay. It's fine if that happens, it's not a big deal. It's just the point where you have to be like, no, you must persist in who you are deciding to be now and just regulate yourself. Change that story so that you then don't feed into it. You don't start overthinking it and pushing it away. You don't need to do that. That is coming from fear. You can choose something else and choose to go forward and change it. And then you get to enjoy everything that you deserve. And that's what I want. And that's why I really wanted to highlight this because it's not about being perfect, and I don't ever want to be perfect, but it is about having the tools and knowing exactly what to do so that it never controls you, never takes over, and never sabotages you. Because believe me, that has happened so many times. But now I don't need to do that because I just do the work to regulate myself, change the story, and then within a few days it's passed. And every level, every milestone, every something, you may get triggered from something from the past, and that is okay. And that is why I teach what I teach. So if any of this has resonated with you and you can hear like, yes, I think I know what she's talking about. I've experienced this in this situation or that situation. I've given you a few different situations where this would have come up, but it's that feeling in your body. It's that overthinking in your mind. It's that story that you just don't know how to stop, the overthinking, the anxiety. And at that point, without realizing it, you will start to sabotage the relationship. You will start to push it away because fear is now manifesting. Fear is now your new state. But you don't have to stay like that. I promise you, you don't. And the best thing I ever did was learning not to let fear and my anxiety control me and to change the story, regulate my nervous system and be able to change my self-concept to a secure one. That is everything that I teach. And if you want to learn more, I've got a current masterclass, Stop Them Pulling Away, where you will learn exactly how to do this, regulate it. So you will be able to stop that anxiety before you subconsciously push them away with your anxious energy, which is the masterclass all breaks it down. So I'll leave a link in the bio if you feel like you want to do the work yourself. If you're feeling that anxiety, it can be changed, it can be reprogrammed, I promise you. And it is so worth doing it because you won't experience this. Your life will just change, your relationships will change. You don't have to live with that anxiety. Even if it happens, it doesn't have to be all consuming. You have the power to change it, and it's really simple tools and consistency to be able to do it that will literally change everything for you. And that is why I'm so passionate with sharing that with the world, because my God, I wish I'd have known how to do this as a child, to regulate myself. I wish I would have known this younger, so I didn't sabotage relationships. I didn't allow fear and that little girl inside of me to take over. So if you want to learn more, then do check it out. And thank you for listening. Please, as ever, reach out to me on Instagram or anyway and let me know any of your takeaways, and see you soon on the next episode.